Hello, such a pleasure to have you join me on the program Security Alerts, one of the most informative and educative security programs on CRBC TV. My name is Wofai Samuel, and as usual, you know that we discuss different security issues that are bordering on Cross River State and Nigeria. Now, we know that Cross River State has actually been one of the best, one of the safest, and one of the most secure environments in Nigeria and in the sub-regions of Africa. How do we maintain that? How do we keep up that trend? We have this program to speak to us about how we can actually maintain that trend in years to come and at present times. Today we're going to be discussing a very pertinent issue because of recent, we've actually seen that the security challenges along border communities has heightened, and Cross River State is not an exemption when you're talking about that issue. So the topic for today is conflict resolution and security within border communities. And we have distinguished personalities here in the studio to speak to us about these topics. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce the guest on the program in person of Mr. REKPENE BASSEY. It's good to have you on the program. Sir, good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. REKPENE BASSEY is a state security advisor, and he's been joined with the former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, and presently the DG, Border Development Commission, in person of Barrister Leo Agri. It's good to have you in the studio, sir. You're welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir. The State Security Advisor, so I'd like to start this discussion with an explicit explanation on what border communities are and basically what security challenges are around border communities.
Okay, border communities are communities within Cross River State that share borders with other communities that are in other states. In the case of Cross River State, for example, we have very vast borders, you know. We share borders with both local communities in other states, and then of course even the international communities. Beginning from within Nigeria, Cross River State shares border with Akwa Ibom State, with Abia State, Ebonyi State, and Benue State. Benue State to the north, Abia to the southeast, and then south. Okay, in that order. We also share borders with Cameroon, along the eastern flank. Or maritime borders rather, with them. I think that also adjoins to areas like Equatorial Guinea. Now, let's talk about the land borders that we share with other communities within Nigeria, in the states that we share borders with. For the most part, the kinds of conflicts that we experience in regards to disputes and even security challenges are conflicts and disputes that are related to land, farmlands. We are agrarian, just like our neighbors are also agrarian for the most part. What that means is that predominantly we're farmers. Our people are farmers. Communities, subsist on farming, and so these disputes and conflicts, emerge from time to time, and some of them have been there, all the way back to the 20, some of them in the 20s, back in the 18th century, 19th century, and they have subsisted. And from time to time, disagreements ensue, and erupt, particularly during farming season. For the most part, those are the challenges, that we face in those kinds of experiences. When those happen, we try to intervene, within the limits of available security resources to bring them under checks. Unfortunately, sometimes, they escalate, and some of them have, turned out very violent, very to the extent of hostilities, resulting sometimes in the loss of property and lives, unfortunately. But these are the kinds of challenges that we face, within our border communities on the land, in the state with other states. We can't say much for our maritime borders with Cameroon. That's been an issue of international legal disputes over time. leading, for example, to the matter or the country recoursing to processes in the Hague and International Court of Justice. We all know what the outcome was with regards to BASSEY, for example, and to the extent of the Braintree Agreement in New York, and upon which BASSEY was ceded, to Cameroon. It was contentious for a long time. Up until now, we have challenges, along those lines, to the extent of, people from, settlers from BASSEY, being resettled, and some of them are still facing, monumental challenges in the resettlement process. And of course, all of that also manifested in other consequences. I think as we discuss further, we'll be able to, articulate the issues involved.
Okay, sir, I'd like to find out from you, talking about the security challenges along border communities, it's individuals that are actually involved in this. Now, are there no better ways of resolving these security challenges other than resolving into disputes, communal clashes, conflicts, and so on and so forth?
Well, thank you very much. I think basically it must have to be discussed from the perspective of belligerents. Okay. We've discovered that Cross River is a very peaceful environment. We're a tourism destination, and that has driven us to the attitude of our people. We, as a Border Communities Development Commission, do a sensitization of our border communities to restrain them from replying aggression with aggression. And the State Security Advisor will vouch that when I get any complaint directly, I call him first. Then I call the Deputy Governor, who is the chairman of the conflict resolution office, and the department is in his office. And then we try as much as possible to liaise with the Commissioner of Police, who now get in touch with the area commanders and DPOs to stem in all those kind of attempted crises in the board. But the problem is most of our neighbors, even where there are judgments of competent courts, Akwa Ibom, we have a judgment of the Supreme Court, which has put the boundary between Akwa Ibom and Cross River at the center of Itu Bridge, the Cross River State, along the axis, because we have a flow of the Cross River, demarcating us. But yet we discover that there are belligerent attitude and expansionist policy being adopted by people makes them cross over the Cross River, come to Udupani axis, start clearing and attempting to parcelate. That is forcible, acquisition. And that is why I'm using the phrase, expansionist policy in the 22nd century, for God's sake. So what I am trying to say first is that there's belligerence by our neighbors, refusal to obey even judgments which are delineated boundaries. And the other aspect is the attitude of the National Boundary Commission in coming to failed tracing of boundaries. They do not create boundaries. They do not delineate. They are meant to come and trace boundaries. Let me give the example along Ebonyi and Cross River towards the Izi area of Okele and Izi. South-Eastern State and East Central State existed with a boundary. East Central State is now 5 states. South-Eastern State is 2 states. The boundary at the axis has been in Dakprata Bridge and Dakprata River. But today, the Izis are claiming up to Mfuma. That means they are claiming beyond Dakprata. They are claiming Ipolo. They are claiming Trigom. They are claiming Mfuma communities. Indeed, part of where they are now domiciled, we are paying, the state government is paying over 43 teachers in about 3 schools. And yet they claim those, and those teachers are being paid by Cross River State. You go to the north, the issues have been one of, north of Cross River, at around Jala, cutting across Bekwara, Budu, up to Obanliku. You go to kilometer 39 along the ranch road, you discover that Ekpagaji community in Kwangde have built on both sides of our road to the ranch. I had to be sent there by the deputy governor, with his predecessor, the former SSA, to go there and stop the problem. And when I go, we discover that we have security flashpoints, as we are discussing here, areas that we have a lot of intrusion by our neighbors and not allowing our people to sleep. What we do as a commission is to start safeguarding lives and properties. And like I'm talking around, Baby, around that 39 kilometers, we have already built a police station. And then you go to Ipolo, in the Z-axis, we have built a police station with ancillary facilities, a mini barracks, and so on, furnished the police station. Even in Adadama, we have built a police station in those fringe areas that we have been having incessant, unrest caused by our neighbors. That is the aspect of the commission that we take forward to first do before any other infrastructure. In the Abia axis, as he mentioned, we have Ukwai to a sandwich between Ahafia and Arochukwu. That is a mini Israel in Nigeria. If you go there, even children playing like children will play with toys, even with a paper, they carve a gun because they are constantly being attacked. We have built a police station there. Our duty is to make sure that we secure the lives and properties, but the bottom line is we have belligerent neighbors. They don't want to obey judgments, and the National Boundary Commission has to also be blamed for failure to trace boundaries and put boundary landmarks to see who is at any time trespassing. But I beg to say one thing, that I've never heard that a Cross River community was the aggressor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I'm still security advisor, please. I'd like to find out something from you. We all know that individuals play a very great role in protecting themselves and then helping to tackle security challenges, as well as the government. The government is doing a lot for Cross River State. Now, in other communities that are involved in these communal clashes with Cross River State, do their traditional rulers and so many other persons in their communities play any major role in these spaces of challenges?
Of course, particularly with regards to resolving the conflicts and crisis. Other than the fact that in more recent times, because of youth culture of belligerence, and he's used the word belligerence, consistently, and due to several sociological influences, significant elements in every society play crucial roles in moving societies forward, resolving crisis, and ensuring that communities where they are abide in peace. And we have, incidentally, I happen to be a member of the Borders Communities Commission, chaired by His Excellency the Deputy Governor, and recognizing the role of these different significant elements, they brought into play roles from time to time in the meetings that we hold, across the boundaries, states, Cross River State, another state. We bring almost always the traditional rulers. We bring top security chiefs, commissioner of police, director of SSS, and top level government officials who play very significant roles towards ensuring that some of these disputes and conflicts are amicably resolved. I think for the most part we have done well in perception management, security perception management. One of the things that happens, during moments and periods of conflict, in the border communities is the fact that you have aggravation of the situation resulting from rumors, a lot of rumors. That, it's once a perception, that we also try to manage. Otherwise, I think that everybody that should be brought, to the table to deal with those challenges often are brought to the table to try to deal with the challenges. I think that it's important to note here to say also that for the most part, people are misguided. When I had occasion to address one community about conflict, the situation in which they found themselves, I made it very clear. I said, number one, they had a right, and this right is inalienable right that's provided for in the Constitution, to survive, to defend themselves. Even God recognizes this right, and And to that extent, they will do well to protect their communities. It will be wrong for them to be the aggressors, you know. So long as they are not the aggressors and they live and work and operate within the limits of the law as provided for by the ground norm, which is the Constitution, and God Himself, you know, the state would always be behind them. And to the extent that they are not the first aggressors, you know, in communal conflicts. And I can tell you that our people have, have maintained the peace, and they love peace, generally. I think it just makes sense that, you know, the other communities that we share boundaries with, you know, respect decisions of, competent courts. Some of these cases have gone all the way to the, Supreme Court, and there are decisions on them. You know, if they would respect, those decisions of the court, then it will help in dealing with the situation. Having said that, I think they need to be proactive. For the most part, cannot be too emphasized. You know, we urge our, communities in the, in the borders with other states to, be sufficiently proactive to avail us with, advance information once there are indications of the possibility of actual hostilities between them and other communities, or they perceive that other communities are planning to aggress upon them. And that helps us to be able to immediately do what is necessary in terms of contacts and meetings to try to address the challenges. But, even within communities, you find people who are just exception to the rule. Sometimes, they want to take the laws into their hands, And I can't tell you, sitting down here, that I would say that sometimes in this situation, we do not have people who step out of the red line on this side of, of our communities. But for the most part, I think we are not usually the aggressors, and we get aggressed upon. And sometimes upon that, there are attempts at reprisals. And then the reprisals would become a conflagration, further heightening, the conflict and crisis. But that's what we do, to try to resolve some of those conflicts.
Okay, thank you very much, the Security Advisor, sir. DG, sir, I'd like to find out from you. He's talked about Cross River State as being very peace-loving people, and everybody knows that. I mean, that's one of the traits Cross River State is being identified with. But when you're looking at border communities and so many other security challenges, what are the best measures? You've talked about dialogue, but I want you to re-emphasize on other measures that are actually adequate to be taken when you're considering tackling security challenges along border communities.
Just like I said earlier on, first, the State Security Advisor has spoken about border communities or other communities being proactive. And I did say that once we get a report, because almost all the border communities I've gone to and I'm working on, they have my numbers. And I expect a call. I cannot switch off my line because you will never know. I have to complement what he's doing, because I am mostly he is looking at Cross River State globally, holistically on security. But I am picking those areas that I call security flashpoints. that there will be no inkling of any idea about a plan that has existed. A crisis does not start on the spur of the moment. What will be the lighting squib is what they are always looking for. For a more prepared or more ready aggressor, he will be looking for a lighting squib. I must have planned to fight you, and I'll maybe just give you a show, so that when you respond, I slap you. And that's how a fight starts. So our people should be very much careful and to be men with their ears on the ground.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, the program has been Security Alert, and we've been talking with the State Security Advisor in person of Mr. REKPENE BASSEY. Once again, it's a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. And we've also been talking with Barrister Leo Agri, former Attorney General of Cross River State and Commissioner for Justice, and he's presently the DG, State Border Communities Development Commission. Thank you very much for coming on the program, sir. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Wofai.
Thank you very much, sir. What can I say at this point in time? Well, no one can say he's redundant because the security consciousness is reawakened. The programs are there to enlighten you. You've actually heard from top government officials who have told you what to do. You need to be proactive, and you do not have to take the laws into your hands. Just sit back and wait for the government to dialogue with the other states amicably and try as much as they can to settle the problems amicably. However, I would still be giving you security tidbits on the next edition of this program. For now, I'm signing out, and my name is Wofai Samuel. Thanks so much for staying into the program while it lasted. See you next week. Bye-bye.